Viewers at home, you're still tuned in right here on Prime Live, and tonight, or currently at the moment, location is Sleep Awareness Month. And I believe right now in this week we are, commemorating Sleep Awareness Week, and just to have conversations around the importance of sleep. And I think this was organized by the National Sleep Foundation. This week serves as an opportunity to educate individuals on the benefits of quality sleep, the risks of sleep deprivation, and practical ways to improve sleeping habits. Now, the coincidence is the fact that it is the month of Ramadan, and we understand some of, the pressures in terms of individuals go to work, come back, need to prepare for iftar, need to prepare for tarawih, suhoor, and there's a whole lot to do. And it tends to result in, lack of sleep in that sense, or not having enough time in the day to take those power naps. But for more, I am joined by Prudence Mathebula to just share more in terms of the importance of sleep and just give us a couple of tips and tricks on how we can, be better. Because after all, if you're not sleeping well, how are you performing in terms of your work or just personally in life? Prudence, thank you so much for joining us, and good evening to you.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me.
Now, my first question tonight, it might sound a bit redundant in that sense, but can you just give us an insight on the importance of actually sleeping?
Well, I think everyone knows they've experienced it. After you get a good night's sleep, what is the first thing that you feel? You feel good as soon as you wake up. And throughout your day, you are able to perform all your functions to your optimum. You are feeling energetic, whatever activities, be it the gym, walking, you are really in the best form ever. So getting enough sleep is so critical because also your memory plays a huge role. You remember stuff, you are cognizant of everything that's happening around you, be it driving, listening, especially for the young ones and in meetings, those boring meetings. If you've had enough sleep, you're not going to be falling asleep, So sleep is very, very important. And also on your mental health, your mood is so important because your mood is really, really, really optimum.
Now, Prudence, for those who know you, they probably are having this question, and I think this will be the best opportunity for me to ask. But for those who do not know, Prudence career accolades and, different career titles, really is very much varied. I mean, you're from radio presenter, you've worked in Standard Bank, Nedbank, like you've done everything that I can think of. How did you manage to achieve so much and potentially, and this is me assuming, sleep well?
Well, I'm going to have to disappoint you somewhere. Well, I was diagnosed with clinical stress, depression, bipolar, and anxiety, but that's a topic for another day. Today we're talking about sleep. So I would say that above everything, having achieved so much, I am very much guilty of sleep deprivation. Hence, I'm one of the activists, advocating for better sleep. So I would say that now that I know better after the diagnosis, I had to make it like a point in my life to make sure that I get enough sleep, between 7 and 8 hours of sleep daily. I don't know if other people do it, but I'm one of those people. I literally count the hours of sleep every day. I count. And if I know that there's a shortfall, I go back to sleep because I need to make those hours up. So yeah, I'm that person. I now am very deliberate in my sleeping journey. I count the hours, and wherever like I was unable, to meet that 7 to 8 hours, I try to make sure that in the next 24 hours, I do find a way, to just extend my sleep to catch up on the lost sleep the previous day.
Now, Prudence, I know earlier on you just touched base in terms of the key benefits of, sleeping in terms of, mental health and, productivity in your physical ability in that sense. But now, because now there's a thing of catching up with sleep, which I believe also that has also its own, adverse effects. What would you say are some of the benefits of actually having a proper sleeping routine, if not a sleeping schedule?
Well, the reality is that we are creatures of habit. So once we get into a certain sleeping pattern, our body adjusts to that. And as I did mention, that once you get good sleep, everything else, will fall into that
Mm,
pattern. Good sleep means a good day, good mood,
mm,
good mentality, and also physically you are able to perform those tasks. So it's the habit and the pattern that one has to have in order to be able to achieve that. And yes, patterns are quite important, but let's be realistic. I mean, in our day and time, people work night shift,
mm.
people work midday. So that may not be as achievable as one would like to. So, indeed, of course, once you interrupt your sleeping patterns, there are many adverse effects. But for those that are able to, definitely they need to do everything in their power to follow a certain sleep pattern so that they can achieve optimum health all round.
Now, with that being said, Prudence, I want us to take a look at, certain disorders that come from, lack of sleep in that sense. What would you say are some of those disorders? And is there a way of, avoiding, and if you are faced with it, what would you suggest in terms of overcoming some of those disorders?
I think the major disorder is insomnia. Insomnia is by far the biggest issue in terms of sleep disorders. There's also sleep apnea, but I would like to focus more on insomnia because it goes back to what I just said. The irregularity of your sleep patterns
Mm,
lead to insomnia. So many factors affect insomnia. So obviously it's irregular hours, it is disrupted sleep. Some people cannot live without their phones. So you leave your phone on throughout your sleep during the night, it rings, you answer it, then you have an issue going back to sleep. Other
mm,
individuals drink a lot of caffeine, or actually, maybe, yeah, minimum caffeine, but it's too close to
mm,
your sleep time. So there are many issues and factors that affect insomnia. And I think the largest portion of society suffers at one point or the other from insomnia. Unfortunately, there are those who are actually suffering from it chronically, that are constantly in a pattern of insomnia, and it's really a major issue. It's
mm.
quite bad, actually. It's quite bad because you would find that even mental disorders play a huge role in insomnia. I know that, as I did mention, with stress, depression, and all of that.
Yeah,
So we are now looking at the different levels of insomnia.
yeah.
So if you are still at that stage where you can still control it, you need to identify the factors, that contribute to you having insomnia. Like I mentioned, the phone. Oh, in our digital
Yo,
age,
yo.
we are guilty. So many of us are so guilty of our phones, the
Mm,
usage of phones, even before sleep, because
yeah,
sometimes, it's not only just social media, you're playing some games that activate your mind, they get you
yeah.
excited. So now it becomes an issue when it's time to sleep because now your mind is activated for a longer period,
Mm.
chowing into your sleeping time. So if you are one of those individuals that's guilty of this, please look into that and definitely do something about it because it will definitely affect you in the long term. And then caffeine, things that we can control. There's absolutely no need for anyone to be having coffee before they go to sleep. No. Why are you
Yeah.
having coffee before you go to sleep? So avoid a lot of products that have caffeine. It's not just coffee,
Mm,
your chocolates, your hot chocolates, um, even green tea. People think that, green tea is very healthy, by the way,
yeah.
but it's just that the timing of it. Don't take it too close to, your sleep time. So those are the type of things that are controllable.
Mm,
Unfortunately, when it comes to mental disorders, those ones need obviously a professional and medical intervention. And unfortunately, we also live in an era where people are so dependent on over the counter medication,
mm-hmm.
especially sleeping pills. So I would really advocate for individuals to really look at other avenues than using sleeping pills, over-the-counter medication to put them to sleep. And one of the major things that one can do is during the day to partake in exercise. Exercise plays a huge role, in making sure that our bodies tire when they need to be tired. And also don't exercise closer to your sleeping time. Give yourself time and your body, to slow down and get into that routine and mood of shutting down naturally without needing any medication. And also your yogas. There's so many things that you can do to get yourself into that mode where your brain and your body shut down for you to be able to achieve proper deep sleep.
Now, I'm going to ask you a very loaded question, Prudence, because I'm loving the information that you're sharing in terms of the importance of sleep, the benefits of actually sleeping in that sense. Now, looking at, the fact that a lot of Muslims are observing the month of Ramadan, and which means fasting throughout the day, not hydrating very well. And also looking at the fact that, when they now breaking their fast, they have to now, prepare for Taraweeh. After Taraweeh, it's a couple of hours, if not 2 or 3 hours before the suhoor time for them to now get up and do morning prayers in terms of tahajjud and suhoor to start taking in their breakfast, if I can say so. What advice would you share for individuals, and how can they maintain a sleep routine that really speaks to their mental health and just their overall well-being?
Okay, one of the things that is important for any individual, um, especially like you mentioned during Ramadan, is the preparation. One needs to always be prepared. Don't go into a period of fasting without preparation because you're going to be caught off guard. Your body is going to be caught off guard, and there'll be adverse effects to that. So, what I would recommend is that maybe a month prior to the start of Ramadan, start practicing those sleeping patterns because you know that obviously you need to be up before sunrise. And you need to obviously manage your meals according to the day. So if you know that you need to be eating prior to sunrise and you need to make sure that you're eating post sunset, this is an exercise that you need to start getting into prior to Ramadan so that your body starts adjusting. And once Ramadan starts, you are now at your optimum. Remember what I said at the beginning?
Yeah.
We are creatures of habit. You teach your body to get into the pattern of being able to sleep when it's time to sleep and to be awake when it's time to be awake. So obviously, preparing in advance means that you are more prepared for Ramadan, eating before the sun rises. So, of course, there are some people who may have issues with waking up too early.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, that once you are in a pattern, once you've trained your body, you've trained your brain, it becomes easier. We know this. Once you're in a pattern and you're in a routine, things start becoming easier. So you can also just eat closer to sunrise. And then also make sure that post sunset, you're not eating too late, because the problem is when you eat too late, then your body's going to take longer to digest the food. And because now the body's taking longer to digest the food, now it what? Chows into your sleeping time.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to be very careful about that, when to eat. And that's what I'm saying. If you start that earlier, you see, you would have trained your body. And it's also important that once you are breaking your fast, the food, the type of food that you eat, avoid the fatty foods. Avoid big portions. I know you've been hungry the whole day, no eating, no drinking throughout the day. So some people don't get into that habit of training themselves that when I break a fast, I cannot now be going big and eating all the processed food, the fatty foods, because again, that will definitely affect you in a major way because it also slows down your metabolism. And unfortunately, that will have an adverse effect on the next day because when you wake up, you're going to be cranky, you're going to be dragging yourself, your mood is going to be affected. So stick to the good foods, the
Definitely.
vegetables,
Definitely.
the greens, particularly whole grains. Do that and in small portions and you'll see you will be very rejuvenated as soon as you wake up.
Prudence, this was quite a lovely conversation, and I think it brought a lot of insight because at times when it comes to Ramadan, we prepare our fridges, our cupboards, our pantries. But I think the idea of forming that routine in terms of sleeping habits, eating habits, is something that is somehow an afterthought. But thank you so much, for giving us insight and how we can, better prepare in that sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Viewers at home, that was Prudence Mathebula who was sharing in some of the insights when it comes to not sleeping. If you think it's a cute thing to do, it's quite interesting, you're trying to be a billionaire, actually you're setting yourself for failure. So let us sleep enough, plan enough according to our schedules, as according to our, commitments in that sense, but ensuring that priority comes to sleep. And in the holy month of Ramadan, it doesn't mean that we should just sleep, but then there's a way that you need to, realign your schedule so that it works to your benefit. But on that note, let's head over to an ad break as we process what we've learned today. See you just after this.